are here to talk about the super popular game Fortnite.
Yes.
And particularly about how it's going off market on Android. So let's begin. Fortnite's going off market. What does that actually mean, Doug?
Well, Fortnite, that's night, N-I-T-E, because Fortnite, N-I-G-H-T, apparently it's not a common word in North America. It means 2 weeks, 14 nights. But Fortnite, N-I-T-E, it's a super popular post-apocalyptic game from Epic Games. Hundreds of millions of players. And unfortunately, it's not yet available on Android. If you've got an Apple phone, great, you can play Fortnite on the iOS, but there's been news and scams and all sorts of stuff about Fortnite coming out on Android, so everyone's been waiting for this game to come out, expecting it to come out on Google Play, which is the standard place where you get Google apps, and guess what? Epic Games have decided they don't want to pay Google the 30% fee for being in the Play Store. They're going to knit their own Play Store, essentially, just rather like Amazon has, and so you're going to have to go off-market, meaning you're not going to get it from Google Play. You'll go to this special, what's called sideloading. You'll go and get it somewhere else. And that's kind of an exciting change, because I think everyone expected that Fortnite would show up in Google Play, which is where most people, at least outside China and Southeast Asia, Google Play is where most people get most of their apps.
So Teresa, hi Teresa says hello.
Hello, Teresa.
And Mark has sent a smiley face with heart eyes.
Heart eyes?
Yeah.
I didn't know you could get that, but it sounds dramatic. Sounds very positive. We love you too.
So could this move by Fortnite cause security problems? This is sort of second issue.
Well, yes, that's obviously if people with Amazon devices, they're used to the idea that they're not going to Google Play. If you live in China, you definitely live off market because you don't get Google Play there. In Southeast Asia, it's very popular to go off Google Play. But for those of us in the Western world, particularly those in business, we kind of can get most of what we want in Google Play. And so I'll just show you, this is Android 7. If you go to Settings, Security, there's an option, and the default is, I hope you can see it there, it says unknown sources, allow installation of apps from untrusted sources, and it's off. And the idea is that gives you a bit of protection, because it means you can't just accidentally install an app from anywhere, including some of the off-market application stores are completely unvetted. They're designed to be open, free for all, anyone can put anything there. And to make this clear, when I'm going to press that little button to turn it on, what you see is you get a warning that looks like that. I hope you can read that. I'll just read it out. It says, your phone and personal data are more vulnerable to attack by apps from unknown sources. This is at your own sole responsibility, on your own head be it, etc., etc., etc. And then if I say OK, you see, once I've done that, and this is perhaps an issue with, at least with Android 7 and below, is it's an all or nothing setting. There's a bit more control in Android 8. I hope we can have time to get back to that a bit later. But what that means is if I open up my phone to Fortnite's app or app manager, maybe they'll have an app that manages a few other apps related to the game, I have also opened it up to everybody else. So in the future, if I get a rogue message, or if I get a dodgy website, or if I get asked to download this file, then I could install an app without the warning I'd usually get, or without Google Android stepping in and blocking it. So that's a security concern, is that we may be training hundreds of millions of people in the Western world who've never gone off market before. We may be getting them to set their phones into a slightly less secure mode, install this fantastic game from a company that they probably trust perfectly well-respected games developer, but now they've left their phone afterwards open to other apps that may follow later that they install inadvertently that they're no longer protected from.
So we've got hellos and highs from Martin and hang on, there's even more comments have come in, and Randy. They're both saying hello.
Hello. Martin and Randy.
And Matthew has said turn it on to install, then turn it off again. It doesn't need to stay turned on.
That's where we're going. And in fact, I just realized that I went and demonstrated this to you, and then I put the phone down, and that's where I left it. So what I would want to do is install my one app, or the app that I've trusted, and then go and turn that back off. So as soon as you turn it back off, you're back to the setting. By the way, if you've got Android 8, it's a little bit different. There's more granularity. You get control per app. So it's not settings, security, allow unknown sources. It's settings, security. I hope I've got this right. What is the actual, install unknown apps. There's a special option for that. And then you can allow individual apps. So for example, I'd imagine that Epic Games will probably come up with a sort of Fortnite app manager, like a single app you install that will look after updating and managing and giving you all the offers and